So today what I want to show you is I have some data here, right? I wanted to talk about index time extractions, right? So the data that I have here is, let me just zoom in so you can actually see. So this is some dummy data that I got from the internet, right? So this is all Fortinet logs. All right, it's all fake Fortinet logs that I got from the Fortinet website, right? So if you look closely, what is happening with this log is you have two timestamps, right? You have one timestamp and again you have two timestamp, right? So the common reason why this happens is because the Fortinet device is actually sending logs to a syslog receiver, like maybe our syslog, syslog-ng or whatever, and then that syslog-ng device is actually overwriting the timestamp, right? Whatever the case may be, you are actually having two different timestamps here, right? So what I want to speak about today is I want to show you how the index time uh, field extractions happen, right? So index time field extractions is when you extract your time, index, source, and source type. All right. So let's actually onboard this data to cloud. All right. So before that, let me show you the setting that I have. I this data is actually sitting on my desktop. All right. I have a universal forwarder running. All right. I have a universal folder running, and this universal folder is connected to a heavy folder. So let me just maximize. So this universal folder is connected to the heavy folder. All right. So I'm using a basic bash script to write logs to this file. All right, and this file is getting monitored on cloud. So it's stimulating data flow. All right, right. So now what I want to show is the setup has already been done. So this universal folder, right? So this universal folder is actually sending data to a heavy folder, right? 3.15.14.239. All right. So if you come here, 3.15.14.239, it is forwarding and receiving, right? So you know this is a heavy folder, right? So this is my index. This is my heavy folder. So this is forwarding to another server. All right. Oh, this is the server that is receiving your data. All right. In my case, this is my indexer. All right. So now I'm going back to this data, right? Like my problem here is I have two timestamps. All right. I have two timestamps, and if you so this is actually a wrong timestamp. This is from 2019, and this is the right timestamp that I need. All right, so I'm going to onboard this data as it is. All right, I'm going to start the bash script. All right, that will write the logs. All right, so this logs is being written to this file. All right, so if I put real-time search here, you can actually find data getting written. All right. So let's just wait for some time because there's a wait period in between here. All right. Right. So we started receiving the first logs. So this is from 2019, but the actual time zone that I need is 2023. All right. So the first thing so this is the real concept that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to stop the uh, bash script for now. So the real concept that I want to talk about is where do you actually write your index time field extraction. So if you write it on, let's first, so this is your searcher and your indexer, right? Even if it is a clustered environment, if so, this universal folder is sending data to the heavy, all right, and from the heavy to the indexer, like I told in the beginning, right? So if I write the props file, let me log into this server, right? So this is the server, right? And now if I go into the props file, right, and then I create the field extraction, right? So this is the field extraction that I want to use. Uh, I'm going to quickly copy this field extraction. FGT source type that I'm using, right? FGT underscore log to onboard the data, right? So I'm going to copy the field extraction in, right? So this is the time prefix that I have to use, right? So the way that I got to this time prefix is, so I pasted some log on regex on, right? And then I wrote this regex like this, right? So I'm going to start, right? And then I'm going to skip till the white space, right? And then again, I'm going to skip till the white space. And I'm telling that you have to look at time date config here, right? You have to look for time prefix here, right? So I'm forcing Splunk to skip this entire part and take time from here, which is exactly what I need, right? Now, what I'm going to do is, this is on the search at come indexer, right? I'm going to do this here, right? And then I'm going to save this, right? Now I'm going to restart the box, right? Fine. I'm restarting the box, and now the expected behavior should be that the timestamp will actually be corrected from 2019 to 2023, right? But it will not work actually, and I'll explain why. Because from the universal forwarder, data is going to the heavy, right? And from the heavy, it is going to the indexer. That means the time extraction actually happens in on the heavy and not on your searched or the indexer. So the reason is Splunk will only do field extraction on the first heavy forwarder or the indexer that the data passes through. So let's say you're taking data from one universal forwarder, and you have 100 heavy forwarders in between your universal forwarder and your indexer. All right. So when the data is passing from the universal forwarder, Splunk is going to do the field extraction on the very first heavy folder that the data is going to see. All right. So that is why even if my field extraction is correct, and this data will not be changed from 2023 to 2019. All right. So I'm just quickly going to pause the video until my Splunk server restarts, because this Splunk server is running on a T2 micro and is basically just chewing gum and bubble gum holding this servers together, right? So I'm just going to pause until the server restarts. All right. So the server have restarted, right? And I started sending logs again to these servers, right? But still the time zone is still 2019, right? There's nothing wrong with my field extraction. It's just that I did it at the wrong place. I did it at the indexer level where the actual data was actually passing through a heavy folder, right? So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the same exact thing, right? I'm just going to add the same exact thing, but this time I'm going to do it on the heavy folder, right? I'm going to do it here on the heavy. All right, now look what happens here. So this props file is empty, right? I'm going to add this here, right? And I'm going to save it. Right, now the props file is here. Right, the exact same thing that I did on the other side, I put it here, right? And now I'm going to restart Splunk again. And now let's see what happens. So I'm just going to wait till the server restarts, and then we can check. Right. So now the heavy folder have restarted. Right. The source type have been edited on the heavy, and the data started flowing again. All right. So I restarted the script, and the data started flowing. Right. And now this time, look at what the timestamp is. So the timestamp is actually now correct. Right. So the purpose of this video is just to make you understand two things. One is, if you have index time extraction, if you are not forwarding traffic directly from the universal forwarder to the indexer, right? And if it is passing through any heavy forwarders, or if you're passing through any other intermediate indexer, then the field extractions, if any, have to be defined there and not at your endpoint, right? Most of the people get this wrong, because if you try to, let's say you have a cluster, right? You're sending traffic, and now you're trying to do a index time field extraction, and you go to the cluster master and you push the index time field extraction from the cluster master to the indexer, expecting it to work, but your data is actually coming through the heavy. It will not work because the heavy is the one that is doing the field extraction. All right. So if you want to edit your data, or if there is something wrong with your data, like in this case, you have to understand this concept that field extraction happens at the heavy folder. So there's a very good answer that has been written by a user. It's been 2 years back, but then this answer is very important, right? So the field extraction is actually happening on the heavy folder, right? Also, there's this wonderful PDF that has been written by Aplura. Right, so you can check it out. So they are explaining the same concept with the diagram. All right, from where the field extraction happens. All right, I'll put the link to the Splunk answer on the video, so you can have a look. And if there's any doubt, you can leave a comment. All right, so that is all I have for now, and I will be back next week with another subject later.